Alright guys, let's take a look at the top 20 players in fantasy basketball on a per game basis over the last 2 weeks of NBA action. The number one player, to nobody's surprise, is James Jimmy Harden of the Houston Rockets. He is that far ahead of the second place player. The difference between him and number 2 is the same as the difference between number 2 and number 6, and the same as the difference between number 6 and number 17. That is how far ahead of the pack Harden is at number 1. 39 minutes a game, 40 points a game, 6.5 threes, 5.5 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, half a block, and he's doing it while shooting just 41%. So if he was at like 45%, he'd be even further ahead. 86% from the line on 14.5 attempts. He's been nonsense since Chris Paul went out. We always know that when Paul goes out, he puts up these numbers. He is on an unprecedented run, and if you got him in drafts, you are really bloody happy with what's going on with Harden at the moment. The number 2 player, a big surprise, someone who was criminally underranked. I think it was on ESPN, who was ranked about 30th in the preseason. Paul George is your number 2 ranked player. That was always a stupid ranking to have him there. He was a guy that I was looking at around picks 12 to 15. He's exceeded that. He's number 2 over the last 2 weeks, averaging 34 and 10 with 3.5 threes. He's had some efficiency issues, but 48% over the last 6 games. The free throw line stuff is great, 86%, 8 attempts. He has been remarkable this season. And the number 3 player, Anthony Davis, 31 and 16. Missed that game on New Year's Eve with that illness. He's likely back after that, though. He's getting 2 blocks, 1.7 steals, great field goal percentage, although his free throws are down to 73% over the last 6 games. He's been up and down with his free throws this season, but we all know how much of a beast Anthony Davis is. The number 4 ranked player is Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers, averaging 27 and 13 with a 3 and 2.3 blocks, and he's got his field goal percentage right up, 59%. Now, he is a guy that was hovering around that 47-48 mark, and that keeps him in the 8 to 12 sort of range. If he gets it to 55 plus, then he jumps into this top 5 discussion, which is where he is at the moment. Also shooting 90% from the line on 7 attempts per game. Huge numbers there. In fact, he is the 3rd highest free throw percentage impact out of all of the top 20. Number 1, of course, is Harden, and then it's Embiid. Then it's another guy we're going to talk about a little bit later on down the back end of the top 20. Number 5 is Yanni Antetokounmpo, averaging 26, 11, and 6, 2.5 blocks per game. That is huge. 1.5 steals on 57%. And the free throws, while they're still not great, they are up to 70%. The problem with Antetokounmpo is 70% on 10 attempts is absolutely horrible in terms of negative impact. It's the 3rd largest negative impact in free throw percentage out of the top. Actually, my mistake, it's the 2nd largest negative impact in free throws out of the top 20 players. The only other one that comes close is Russell Westbrook. He has the worst negative free throw impact, and it's because of those attempts. 10 attempts per game puts you in a significant hole, and while 70 isn't bad, that's a -2 Z score, which anything over -2 I look at is almost a punt that's hard to get out of. And yeah, the guys that you would need to pair him with to be able to reverse that, or maybe there is some guys there, but it's not an ideal scenario. Number 6, a little bit of a surprise, Kemba Walker. He was electric to start the season, faded off, and I think I listed him as a buy low guy a couple of weeks ago. He is back there at number 6, 30 points per game, 5 assists, 1.4 steals. It's really because he's blocking 1 shot per game and shooting 54% from the field that his numbers are back to this number 6 level. That's unrealistic for him to be able to maintain that high of a block rate and that high of a field goal percentage. He's also hitting 4.3 triples per game on 47%. So it could be somewhat of a sell high here for Kemba, but you're not getting back top 10 value anyway. Number 7 is Steph Curry, averaging 28 points with 4.5 triples, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. The efficiency hasn't quite been there, under 40% from 3, under 46% from the field, but on a downswing and in reduction in production, if he's still the 7th ranked guy, I think you're doing pretty okay there. While Kyrie Irving comes in at number 8, he did suffer that scratched eye on New Year's Eve. He's averaging 25 points with 2.7 triples, 8 assists and 1.3 steals. His assists and steal rates are much higher this season than in the past. His legendary point guard efficiency is back, 51 and 93% from the field and from the line. And we thought that there might be a little bit of a concern with him fitting in with the increased role of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the return of Gordon Hayward. It hasn't happened at all. Irving has reasserted himself and he's putting up numbers better than numbers he was putting up in Cleveland, better than numbers he was putting up really in Cleveland before LeBron even arrived. So he has been a fantastic steal at the back end of second rounds, or in a lot of cases in the 3rd round. The 9th ranked player, a big shock here, Deandre Ayton of the Phoenix Suns, 22 and 14, largely on the back of those huge rebounds, but also the 68% from the field on 15 attempts. That is a Z score of 4.3. I think that is the single largest Z score of anybody. Actually, that's not true. There is a guy who has a Z score of 5 in one category. So look, that is a huge reason, that field goal percentage. The free throws are nice. He doesn't get to the line very often. 75% is okay. He's still not blocking shots, but he is getting steals. 1.6 per game is relatively solid. Unrealistic to continue. And that 22 points on 22% usage it's high, and it's based on that really high efficiency, which I think he is efficient. He's not that efficient, so he will drop off. I think he's a comfortable top 50 player from here on out, and he does have that top 30 upside. Number 10 is Karl-Anthony Towns, 23 and 13, 5 assists, 2.6 blocks. His assists over the last 2 games have been fantastic. The efficiency is still keeping him from that top 3 zone, 47 and 75 from the field. He could easily be an 85 and 55 type of guy, and then he is a top 5 player. So while it's a little bit hard to buy low after his last 2 games, he still has improvement from where he currently sits in the rankings. Number 11 is Nikola Jokic of the Denver Nuggets, 28.5 and 7 with 1.6 steals. The shooting, which I've talked about for him all season, was really lacking and it was holding him back. It's back at the moment, 56 from the field, 88 from the line and 40% from 3, and that's caused him to jump back up into top 10 consideration. Of course, Gaz Harris, Will Barton, Paul Millsap, who is already back, these guys are all due back pretty soon, so it will be interesting to see how the Nuggets offense goes and how many possessions Barton hijacks, but for now, Jokic is a pretty solid first-round guy. The other guy who is a first-rounder at the moment is Bradley Beal, 40 minutes a game, which is way too high, 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists with 2 steals, great efficiency, and we know that John Wall is out for the season, so there's a legitimate chance that Beal can remain a top 15 player for the rest of the year. The minutes are the only thing there which looks completely unsustainable at 40 a game. He just won't be able to continue to play that much. Number 13 is Devin Booker. 27 points with 9 assists. That is crazy. 1.3 steals. Also, that's well up on career numbers for him. 45 and 88% shooting, and he only shooting 34% from 3. So he's got a room for improvement there. I think that with this newfound point Booker type of role for Devin, he can be a top 10 guy in fantasy for years to come. It's going to rely upon him keeping the steals at 1.5 and the field goal percentage at, say, 46%. But the free throw attempts are nice and up. The assists are high. The scoring, the threes, all that sort of stuff is up. There's no reason he can't be a 28 point per game scorer with 3 triples, 8 assists, 1.5 steals, 4.5 rebounds. If he does that, that's top 10 type of numbers. Number 14, Kevin Durant has slid from his usual spot, 27, 7, and 6, and his numbers don't look stupidly bad. The blocks are a little bit low, 1 block per game, 49 and 83. Maybe it's somewhat of a buy low, especially if people are panicking on the Warriors, although I think the rest days in the playoffs argument for the Warriors has been minimized with how much relatively they've struggled this season. So I think that you can look at Durant as being able to push back pretty comfortably into that top 7 or top 8 type of a zone. Maybe you can get him at a cheaper price now as the numbers are just a little bit down. They're not too far down though. Number 15 is Myles Turner, the guy that I said has the biggest Z score of anybody with his blocks, 3.4 per game, 15 points and 10 rebounds. 57 from the field, a weird just 67% from the line. The blocks, I keep saying they're going to come down, they keep not coming down. Maybe he is just a 3 block per game guy, which is a real rarity in players, and if he can maintain that, then he can maintain top 30, top 20 type of value. The rebounds have started to drop just a little bit, and the scoring and usage has dropped a couple of percentage points as well. Look, 14.5 points is okay. It's not great. The 10 rebounds are strong. The 3.5 blocks is strong, and the field goal percentage is strong. If any of those drop, then in all 3 of those, there is potential for them to drop because we've seen him struggle to maintain those rebound, field goal percentage, and block numbers in the past. If those things drop, then the ranking does tumble. So while he has been good and he's been exceeding expectation, I still believe that there is something of a sell high here for Myles Turner. At number 16 is Larry Nance Jr. This is as sell high as it gets. 14 and 11 with 2.4 steals and a block on 57% shooting. Tristan Thompson's return is just around the corner. Kevin Love might be a couple of weeks away. We've seen him be dicked around plenty of times this season, Nance. Will they push him straight to the bench when Thompson returns? Maybe not the first game, but I imagine it happens pretty quickly after that. And then going from 33 minutes a night down to 26 minutes a night pushes him perhaps outside the top 50. If you can get any sort of top 30 value for Nance, I would absolutely be doing it. It might be tough to achieve, But what I would do is wait. I will try it now, and if you can't, and then wait to see when Thompson comes back. And if the first game that Thompson comes back, Nance puts up numbers, I would sell in them, because that could be just a case of easing Thompson back in. It may not be, but I have my concerns with how Larry Drew handles him. Russell Westbrook at number 17, averaging 22, 11, and 10 with 3.4 steals. On the surface, they are brilliant numbers. The percentages drop him down from being a top 5 guy down to the 17th ranked player. 41% from the field on 21 attempts is atrocious. And then 62% on 5 attempts from the line is also atrocious. He's only hitting 1 3 per game at 22%. So, God save you if you have 3-point percentage as a category in your league as well, because you are losing all of those with Westbrook. Some real massive negatives. He's really tough to deal with in roto leagues. And in roto leagues, I would consider trading him away if you can get any sort of equal value, just because of those massive negatives that he does put on your team. Number 18 is Drew Holliday. 23, 5.5, 8.5, over a block a game, 46 and 85. Just consistent numbers from Holliday. I think he's just going to keep doing this sort of stuff, and he's going to remain as this guy ranked between 18 and 30 or 25 maybe for the rest of the season. Number 19, Damien Lillard, a little bit lower than where you'd expect him, 25 points, 4.5 assists. That's a big reason why he's not a top 10 player at the moment, is the lack of assists. He is blocking 0.9 shots per game, which is not usual, but still just the 1 steal, which is not usual from Lillard, and 91%, but only getting to the line 3 times is a little bit of a disappointment. So he's in a little bit of a slump at the moment. And the number 20 ranked player is the Rooster, Danilo Gallinari. That is that player with that second highest free throw percentage impact, because he is getting to the line 6 times per game and shooting 95%. He's averaging 22, 7.5 with 2.5 threes on 54% shooting and 54% from 3. So there are some clear red flag indicators there, not even talking about his injury. The fact that he is shooting 95% from the line, great free throw shooter, probably not a 95% guy, but the bigger red flag is 54 from the field and 54% from 3. They will not stick at that level. He can't continue. No, he can maybe be a 42 or 43% three-point shooter. He won't be this good. He is any sort of top 30 or top 40 guy you can get back in a trade for Gallinari. I would. The injury risk is there, plus the shooting regression, which I believe is due to come. But again, selling high or selling Gallinari because you're worried about an injury doesn't mean trading him away for D'Angelo Russell. It doesn't mean trading him away for Marvin Williams or Spencer Dinwiddie. It doesn't mean doing that, because I'd just rather take it. It means trading him away for Mike Conley. It means trading him away for maybe Jimmy Butler. Whoever has him is disappointed with his fit in Philadelphia. It means trading him away for Luka Doncic, which you probably can't do. Maybe it's DeMar DeRozan. It's one of those sort of deals, rather than going down to a guy like Thad Young or Joe Ingles or Pascal Siakam or one of those sort of players. That's how I look at that for the Rooster, Danilo Gallinari, and that'll wrap up the top 10 players in fantasy basketball over the last 2 weeks.